volume's picked up a bit. It's making the 2%.
Well, put it this way, I've got the test one and I'm running it and it works fine as you've seen. So you might even have it next week. But Oliver's working on some security stuff for them all at the minute, so it'll work off emails and we can protect people from sharing it and giving it away like somebody already has.
All right,
So
okay.
we'll be able to protect that soon.
The thing is, what I like about that is that you just know that it's going back in between them lines, and I can just manually come out if I'm happy with what I'm making.
Yeah.
I'll come out early, come out at 1.5%, whatever it is.
It's a good thing, but it opens you up back to revenge trading and I'll double up and I'll over leverage, and so it's good because the trade assistant treats it as if it took the trade. So it applies the lot size, the stop loss, the take profit, the exit strategies. It applies all of that good stuff as if it took the trade. And that's brilliant. Okay. The downside is it's so easy, isn't it, to click the button? I've just got a sheet created about sort of mindset and stuff with trading. So the trade assistants are good because they help reduce the burden on our own mindset. But when you've got a button, you're back to it being a lot of your mindset. So I know
it is, but I've still got. I'm no different to Richard, really. At the end of the day, with it, I've still got 1% in my head.
I don't know whether Richard takes it as a compliment or an insult.
I've got a thick skin.
I know. It's Richard's session, so I'm going to shut up. I'm going to do a bit of work while I'm listening in. But yeah, Gary, I would say maybe next week, week after.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to get started. Welcome. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see my MT5. And I've got a couple of questions that I need to answer from other people or people who are not currently on this meeting, but I'm going to answer them anyway. And just by the way, I think when we get into a stage where these sessions will naturally become support sessions rather than live trading sessions, because your trading assistant is going to be doing the hard work. So we'll be doing these sessions to answer any questions. And one way that I'm thinking about doing that is to say, if you want to send me a question prior to the live session, I can make sure that I cover the answer to that during the session. And I'm hoping that that's the way it's going to go. But in the meantime, we're still fairly new, so I need to go through what the trading assistant is, what it can do, what you can see on your screen, etc. One of the questions that I was asked was to do with the indicators on the screen, and I have answered that already, but I just want to make it clear that whatever you can see on your MT5 screen is just for visual purposes. It is not, the indicators that are on your screen are not controlling your trading assistant. But what controls your trading assistant is the settings that you put into the inputs. So if I, for instance, have got a moving average on my screen and it's not the 13 or the 200, it's completely irrelevant to the trading assistant. The fact is, with my charts show the indicators that my trading assistant is using. But if you had one of those indicators missing from your screen, it doesn't affect the trading assistant. So you could, in theory, run the trading assistant with none of these indicators on your screen and it wouldn't make any difference. So that was the first point I wanted to talk about. The second point, I think it was Tommy was saying he'd only got one moving average indicator and how to get the others on there. Now, one way to do it, as with a lot of things on MT5, there's more than one way of doing just about everything. One way that you can do it is if you go onto your navigator chart. So just at the top there, I've got view and I've got navigator. If I click it again, it'll come back on. So that's my navigator chart. Down this side here, you can get drop-down menus from any of these things. And what you need to do, if Tommy's not on, he might be watching the replay. So you click on trend and go down that list to moving average. And if you drag that across to your chart, it'll put a moving average on here. Now, I've already got the 200 moving average, but what if I put an additional moving average on? Let's say I put a 68 moving average, and I'd make it, let's say, orange. Oh, that's a red. So I put an orange, and I click OK. It's now added an orange moving average, and that's a 68 moving average. Now, that's fine if you want to do that, but as I say, it will not affect the way that your trading assistant will operate. So, Tommy, if you want to, I don't know which moving average you've got on your screen at the moment, but if you want to add either the 200 or the 13 so that your screen looks like mine, you just do that. You just drag that, click on there, drag it across, and it'll ask you to set the period of the moving average, the color, and the thickness of the line. For me to get rid of that orange moving average, if I right click on the screen and I go to indicator list, you'll see that I've got 1, 2, 3 moving averages. I only need 2 because I only use the 13 and the 200. So I'm just going to double click on that. That's the 68. So I can actually go back to that and delete it. So as long as it's highlighted, I can delete it. And when I come back to my screen, you can see that that orange line is gone. So that was one question I had, and I had a chat with Oliver just to make absolutely sure that my thinking was correct, that anything that's on your screen has got no influence whatsoever on the workings of the trading assistant. It's just there purely for visual purposes. The trading assistant will work following your instructions, and they're in your expert list. So everything that the trading assistant works on is what you put into this list. And that's all it takes any notice of. It doesn't take any notice of the indicators on your screen. So that's one question answered. Now we're going to get rid of the navigator. Oh, there's something else. Sorry, whilst I'm on there, something else. Whilst you're on the navigator, if you'll, I've actually got two accounts with Finnative. I think that one has now expired. This one is the operative one. If I click on that plus alongside it, it gives me the current situation on that account. So it's confirming that I've got the trading assistant working. So my algo trading is green. I've got a blue hat in the top right-hand corner. That's another confirmation. And then these are also confirming that we've got the algo trading working on all 4 pairs. Now, if for any reason you want to stop the trading assistant working on one of those 4 pairs, if you right-click, you can switch off algo trading. And you'll see that that hat has gone from being blue to being white, and similarly in the top right-hand corner. So right at this moment, we're only operating on 3 pairs. Now, that could be useful if for any reason you wanted to get out of a particular pair. And then to reverse it, you just double-click and you click on algo trading. There's another thing that happens, or another option on that panel, and that is simply to remove the trading assistant from Euro USD. And one of the ways that I've used that, and at the risk of confusing anybody, if I'd already taken a trade on Euro USD, I would see a message here on the right-hand panel saying already traded, and the trading assistant will not take another trade on Euro USD unless I click on this remove from Euro USD, and then I go back and I drag the assistant back onto the chart, and it will be starting afresh. You would need to right click on your chart and make sure that the expert settings were the settings that you require on that chart. But that's just something that I do occasionally if I can see an opportunity, but the trading assistant is not taking any new trades on that particular pair. I'm gonna do another video and I'll go into that again. So right, get rid of that. So I'm just going to run through what I can see on my screen and try and talk about the relevance of each of those components. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. Okay, so we've got a white vertical line here, and that is marking the 1 o'clock UK time candle. Just ignore the fact that it says 12 o'clock down here, because that's down to my broker's time, and my broker is 1 hour behind me. But that's indicating the 1 o'clock candle. There's another vertical line, a green one, which indicates the 1:15 candle. And the trading assistant is currently monitoring those candles. And when this 1:15 candle closes, it'll look for the highest point in that 15-minute period. So currently, that will be, there we go, it's just worked it out. It's looking at the highest point, and there must be a wick up to that point there, and it's looking left, and it's found that the nearest higher candle is way back there. And then it's drawn the line from that point to touch the top of the high point in that 15-minute period and continue on, and it should continue on until 4 p.m. So it'll continue on for 3 hours. It's the same. No, actually, we've got a bit of an issue with the trend lines, and this is the issue. I'm assuming that there's a wick on the bottom of that green candle there, and for some reason the trading assistant is using that point as the lowest point, and it's drawing the trend line from that point up to what I've got no idea why it's going up to that point. What it should be doing is going from the bottom of that candle and looking left for a lower candle. So that red trend line is actually miscalculated. The trend line needs to be it needs to be from there.
Hi, Richard. I was just going to say mine's drawn it back to 5 candles before.
So that's 1, 2, 4, 5. So is that one there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Got a big wick on the bottom and the top.
Yeah, okay. So never done this before, but I'm just going to try and draw a trend line to the bottom of there. So anyway, we struggle, and it sounds to me as if that might just be, if Helen's is different to mine, if Helen's is correct, what that means is it's my particular broker. There's something not right with the, there we go. So I'll just take it as far as that. So the actual trend line should look more like that. Is that something like yours, Helen?
Yes, it is, Richard. But if I look at my GCAD, for example, it hasn't drawn the green line correctly. So I don't think it's your broker.
All right. Okay.
Mine's the same as yours, Richard.
So you've got a really steep red.
Yeah, I've got red ones exactly the same.
Okay. I've literally been talking to Oliver, and he just sent me a message as I came on this call. So we are working on that. However, what I can do is I can draw the lines on accurately, and work off these lines to explain the process. I maybe better advise people not to take trades until we get this sorted out, because at the minute, if I was taking notice of this red trend line, I would be below the red trend line, and I would be looking for sells. But
have you had any trades today?
Yes, there was, but unfortunately, I lost all 4 of them.
I've lost 3 today and 2 yesterday. So I wonder if that's got something to do with the trend lines.
It may well do, and I'll try and explain for your benefit and for anybody who's new, and why it makes a big difference. If we were taking notice of, well, my trading assistant is currently taking notice of that red trend line. I would say that the green trend line looks to be correct, because that's the highest point on the green on the 15-minute, and if I look left, that's the nearest higher one. So that one looks to be correct. This one is not correct. It's using the start, and it shouldn't. It should be looking back from that point to start down here somewhere, and therefore drawing the line more like that angle where I've got this second red trend line. But I'll just try and, rather than give up on the session, I think I'd better just say, it may not be advisable to let the trading assistant continue to take trades until we get this sorted out. I don't know what Oliver said in that message, but he's working on it. You see, it's now
weird though, because it was all perfect, wasn't it? It was working well.
Yes, and the only difference that I've made is I've changed the broker, but if everybody else is getting the same effect, then there's obviously some glitch in the trading assistant.
Yeah, my Euro USD is the only one that looks correct. All my others look wrong.
All right. Well, I'll look at the others in a minute, but what I'll do is I'll use what I've got, which is now that the price has come below what I think is the actual trend line, we should be looking for a sell. And sure enough, this has changed to sell. So if it took any trades now, they would be valid trades. If it had taken a trade here, they wouldn't be valid trades, because that is a false line. So, but we're now in a valid situation, or we were, with prices come back up. So when price comes below the red trend line, I start looking, when I was trading manually, I would start looking for sells. Now the trading assistant is taking that decision making away from me. It would still be correct if price is below this red trend line. So that's the first criteria. Is price either above the green trend line or below the red trend line? At the minute, it's just below the red trend line. So my trading assistant, and it's telling me there, I'm looking for a sell signal. So it's going on to look at the next criteria, which is the wave change. Now, these Heikin-Ashi candles, these are green, and then it changes at that point to red. So we have had a change in the Heikin-Ashi candles. That would be a wave up, becoming a wave down. So the second thing we look for is, have we got a wave change? Is it in my favor? And yes, it is, because it's now red, it was green. So that's the second criteria. The third criteria is, do we have a recent MA crossover? Now, the MA crossover occurred here, where the 13 crossed over the 200. And because that is so far back, the trading assistant will ignore that. It's way too far back. On my settings, I've asked it to only look 12 candles backwards. So there hasn't been an MA, a moving average crossover within the last 12 candles. So that is not a valid trade. Now that price has moved into what we call no man's land, in between the green and the red, it's not a valid trade anyway. The reason this is still saying sell signal is that it's taking notice of this, but that is wrong. So we'll just work on the basis that this is the correct trend line, and prices now come back below the red. I'm still in a downward wave, and it's changed recently, but I still don't have a recent MA crossover. So I don't want the trading assistant to get me in, and it won't in any event, because we've got down here the Wada Atta, and it says here Wada Atta WAE signal no trade. That's telling me not to get in. Well, it's telling me that it has no intention of getting in, because what we need to see is something like this, where the white line, which is called the explosion line, is not only above the orange line, which is called the dead zone, but it's pointing away from the dead zone. And we've got the dark green histogram above the explosion line. That would have been a good time to get in. And if we've been watching this chart at that time, which was about an hour ago, this would have changed to long. In other words, we would have been looking for a buy. But the trading assistant is not going to get into a trade right now, because we're waiting for two things to happen. We want a moving average to cross over. So it would need to go, instead of going downwards and across the 200, the 13 will need to go across the 200, and we'll be looking for an upwards move. We'll be looking for a buy. What else have I got to say about what's on the screen there? Let me just have a look. I've got my trading assistant set to risk 0.5% of my balance on this particular pair. So it's calculated that if it's going to risk 0.5%, it's going to risk, in monetary terms, just under $490. And it calculates that because I've set on this particular pair a 3-pip stop loss, it's worked out that my lot size is 16.33. And it's also telling me that it's working on the exit that I've got set is when my take profit reaches a risk to reward of 1 to 2. So I'm risking 0.5%, and 1 to 2 would give me 1%. So I'm risking just under $500. But if it gets into a trade, I want it to take me out when I get to just under $1,000. And the other bit of information, well, there's two other bits of information. One is regarding news. And before I came on, I noticed I went to Forex Factory and I went to my FX book, economic calendar, and I noticed that at 1:30, there was a lot of red flag news on the US dollar. Now, it looks like the trading assistant hasn't found that yet. So that's something else I need to look at. At 1:30, I would have expected a vertical red line here somewhere, and I would expect it to tell me at this point that there was news coming in 3 minutes. Actually, the red line should be here, and it's completely missed the fact that there is some red flag news. So that's another issue we need to sort out.
It's the news feed. Somebody else pointed it out to me, but there's a lot of different news feeds, and that's the one that MQL5, the people that make MetaTrader 5 use.
Right.
Somebody else knows, just it didn't have them all on. So I'll message Oliver now, actually.
Yeah, well, I made a point of looking before I came on, and there's about 10 red flag items on the US dollar. It's all to do with inflation. So any minute now, well, in 2 minutes now, I'm expecting a big price movement. The problem is I don't know whether it's going to go up or go down. So I would want to keep out of the news. I would not want to be in a trade. And my settings tell the trading assistant not to get me into a trade from 5 minutes before the news to 5 minutes after the news. If I was already in a trade, it would keep me in, but it won't get me into any new ones in that 10-minute period. And then the other bit of information I've got on my screen is my daily target is $6,000. My daily target loss is $2,000. And the other number on there is a percentage profit, current profit. Well, we haven't taken any trades yet, so our profit is 0. But what it will do is, if I get to the point where over the 4 pairs, I've made a loss of $2,000, it will just stop trading for the rest of the session. So that is some kind of protection. And there we go. No, we're not. It's not quite. I'm gonna stay on this chart just so we can watch what happens at 1:30. I'm expecting either a big rise. There we go. There we go.
Wow.
So that was a huge move, and I don't know if you. Well, there we go. That is exactly the point. Price. I noticed that when we hit the 1:30, it first of all went up quite a bit, and then it went all the way down there, and then it went all the way back up there, and now it's come back down there. Look at it. It's jumping around. Now, a lot of traders work on the theory that the news certainly has an impact on price. There's no doubt about it. But there's also a theory that the big boys hide their price manipulation behind the news, or they use the news to disguise their price manipulation. And what they've achieved there, if you were sitting expecting price to go up, you would set your stop loss somewhere down here, and that move would have taken out your stop loss. And if you were sitting here expecting to, well, getting into a sell, you would have your stop loss up here, and that move would have taken your stop loss as well. And that is how the big boys make their money. They have quite sophisticated software that tells them exactly the value of and where the stop losses are, and they simply take out everybody's stop loss by a piece of manipulation like that. There's been a lot of money invested in that move down there, and a lot of money invested in that move up there, but they've made a lot of money. So that's why I never ever trade across news. That was a perfect example, and I would have expected it because I noticed that there was 10 or 12 red flag items at 1:30 this afternoon. So there we go. I still wouldn't get in because they might do a little bit more manipulation I would wait until price settled down before I would want to be in. And I've got my trading assistant to keep out of trades at least for 5 minutes after the news. The water atta here is quite strong in favour of a buy. We are above the we're above the green trend line. The real red trend line is here, so we're also above the red trend line. Oh, it's just got me in a trade. Okay, so it's placed a trade on Euro USD. So I'm in for a buy, and it's literally just taken me out at the same point. Now, it got me in for a trade because it hadn't identified the news. So I was asked a question earlier, did I think that my losses this morning were down to the issues I've got with the trading assistant? There's my answer, because I really shouldn't have been in that trade. That was, what's the, let me just see if I can hover over that and get the time of that. No, it's not happening. But anyway, it's 13:33, so we're still within the period of time that I don't want my trading assistant to trade. So it's taken me out, and I'm going to use what I've got on the screen. I'm not going to shy away. We've got an issue, and I would say don't, until we get that issue solved, then don't use the trading assistant. But what I've got on my screen now is already traded. And it's programmed not to take another trade on Euro USD in this session. But let's say I want it to take, if it finds another trading opportunity, do I want it to take a second trade? This is the way to deal with it. If you're sitting watching the charts, obviously you can't do that if you're letting the trading assistant run and you're going out to work. But let's just work through the process of how you would get it to take a second trade. So you go to the navigator and you look at Euro US, and if you right click on that, you ask it to remove the trading assistant from Euro US, and you see everything disappears off the screen. And I then come down to my Crossfire trading assistant and I drag it across and it reappears. So I need to check common, make sure that this box is ticked. And then I need to check my inputs. Now I don't need to check them all because this is not the setting list that I want to operate. I want it to operate, so I'm going to load up. I'm clicking on load and I'm looking for my latest Crossfire settings. And PM, EU, 3-pip Crossfire set. There's another PM set list, and that's for GU, EC, GC, and those are on 4 pips. So I'm going to click on the 3-pip because I'm on Euro USD. I'm going to open that, and it's now changed 3.6. I'm just going to check. Right, so because of this issue I've got with this broker, I need to change that to 12. Yours should be on 13 if you're in the UK. I'll change that. So I've now got the same set list that I had on when it took that trade. So we're back in business. It's 13:37, so the trading assistant is well, had it been disqualified from trading for 5 minutes, it would now be qualified. It would be starting to look again. So it's now looking for a buy signal purely and simply because I'm above the green trend line. Just make this a bit bigger and you can see it. So we're above the green trend line, so I'm looking for buys only. Have I had a recent wave change? Well, yes, I have, but not in favour of a buy. It was, well, no, sorry, these are still green. So we have it went from wave down to wave up. So we're still in a wave up, and we've had a recent MA crossover, but the water atta isn't in my favour. I want it to look, actually I've lost my colours there. I'm going to deal, I've found a way to deal with this, but right now I just need to change those colours. Can you see that because I've just reloaded the trading assistant onto this chart, it's now given me 2 smooth. I only need 1. It's not going to make a massive effect, but it will slow your computer down slightly if you've got duplicate indicators on. So show pips is this here. I've got the 13 and the 200 moving average. I've got the smooth Heiken-Ashes, and I just want to change something on the water atta. I want that line to be white. I've found out how to do this permanently now, but in the meantime, I've got to do it. I want to make that thicker, and I may as well change the orange line to be thicker as well. Close that. So that I've just changed it. It was a very fine blue line. You could barely see it. So the water atta is telling me to keep out. The explosion line is above the dead zone line and it's pointing away from it, although now it's not, it's leveling out. But the histogram isn't above the white line, and in fact it's the wrong colour for a buy. So the trading assistant won't get me in there. I'm going to look at the other pairs. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've talked about so far?
At the moment,
We've lost that. We had a red line that seems to have disappeared. That's because I took the trading assistant off the chart and reloaded it, and it didn't reload. But basically, we can make this a little bit. Yeah, the actual trend line is sort of that direction there. I'll just place it roughly just to remind me that I've got an error there. I need it to come sort of from roughly from there. Why isn't it doing it? That is more like it. It's not accurate, but it's more like the trend line where it should be. So once again, there's a bit of sideways movement going on. It was looking like it was setting up for a buy. Now it's looking like it's setting up for a sell. But if you take a quick look at the water atta, that'll tell you to keep out. This is looking more like a sell now. The explosion line is above the dead zone line. It's pointing away from the dead zone, and the histogram is above the explosion line. It's still saying no trade. We need another histogram to confirm that. We're below the red trend line. We've just had a recent, there we go. At least it's giving me some examples to work on. So what I was saying was, we're below the red trend line, so I'm looking for sells. It's just got me out again. Look, I was in the trade for seconds.
oh well, EuroCAD.
It'd be the same on all 4 pairs, I'm guessing. But that, why has that got me out? Because I'm nowhere near the stop loss. anyway, as I say,
Mine's
I'm
got me
going
out
to
as
work
well.
on what I've got. The red arrow was telling me when it got me in, and the blue arrow has told me when it's got me out. Now, I really don't understand why it got me out, because when it was in the trade, it had the stop loss and it was way up here. There was a red line up there, and then a red line down here with my take profit. I've got no idea why it's taken me out. But once again, I'm in an already traded situation, so the trading assistant will not get me into another trade on this pair unless I go back through that procedure. Let me
If
have
I
a
look at my history, it definitely, that EuroCAD definitely hit stop loss.
all right.
Everything's crazy though. It's still moving ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm in Euro USD as well.
Euro US. I cannot for the life of me understand why it took me out there. I'm nowhere near my loss protection. Right, so let's have a look at EuroCAD. EuroCAD. It didn't get me into a trade. Should it have done? Well, looking at the red trend line, that was the low point in the 15-minute period. It's looked left and it's found a slightly lower point. So I think that red trend line is correct. The green trend line is looked left and not found anything any higher. Therefore, it's going a horizontal line. But I would say, without looking even further back, I would say that is probably correct. So, but to say what I see, we're below the red trend line, so I'm looking for sells. It's confirming that, but it didn't take one just at that point. And the reason it didn't take one was because, well, the 13 moving average did not yet cross over the 200 moving average. There has been a recent wave change. We've got a green wave going up, and then we've got a red wave coming down. So that qualifies us for a sell, but the moving average didn't qualify us for a sell. So on this occasion, my trading assistant was correct in not getting me into a trade. So Paul, did you say you've got a trade, and was that on Costello?
Oh, I just put it on demo and I'm messing around with the buy sell buttons that Oliver put on. So
right.
I think it did get me into a Euro USD that lost, but I could have closed it at a decent profit. But it was like up and down, up and down, up and down. I got into 3 trades. I was about to record a video just showing how crazy it was, and it went from about 3 grand up to them all losing in the space of about 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But having said that, my Crossfire trading assistant did its job, because yes, I'm below the red trend line, so I'm thinking sells. Yes, I've had a recent wave change from green to red, but no, it wouldn't get me in because I haven't had a crossover. It looked like it was going to crossover, but it didn't make it. And looking down here, I'm not sure what. Well, this probably wouldn't have got me in either, because I believe you need 3 consecutive. I think we would have needed a 3rd candle for that to change to short. But even so, it wouldn't have got me in because there hasn't been a crossover. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. No, I'm correct. It didn't yet cross over the 200. So the 13 has to cross over the 200 in a downward direction for it to get me in for a sell. So that one seems to have worked in my favor.
So that one did get me a trade.
It did.
Yep. that big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. It did. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200. That was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get me a trade. Yep. That big green candle, which is just below your 200, that was the one that got me in. So that one did get
Yeah,
No, the next, keep going, that one, yep. It
yeah,
got me in and out on that candle.
right.
And actually on my screen, it isn't that, it's slightly different. My 200 is slightly higher than yours. It's going through the next green candle. So technically that's, sorry, it's going through right through the middle of that green candle. So I don't really understand why it did it, but it did.
Well, that's a 200 moving average, but as I say, the 13 didn't cross over.
No, I know, mine didn't either.
So
The spreads were going silly. Is it something to do with spreads?
Don't know.
Sorry, I'm on late. I wanted to tell everybody that I hadn't got a trade today, but then I discovered I hadn't turned it back on again from resetting it all this morning. I nearly said I haven't had a trade, and I thought it's not on.
I think everybody here has made that mistake
Mm.
at some point or another. Well, I don't think I've got anything new to say about this one. It looks like Price is going to try and get. Oh, here we go. GBP card. Let's have a look at that one. The GBP card. Okay, so before they disappear, that red dashed line is my take profit. By the way, you may already know that, but if I click on that and drag it, I can move it. On MT5, you can move it up or down. And the same with this red line here. If I hover on that, I can move that down or up. My price is going against me already. GB USD. Well, at least we're getting some action today.
I'm into a GPB USD.
Yeah, there we go. And we're in profit. Only by about 1 pip. Now it's going up. It's went up to 2. So there's my stop loss. There's my entry point, and if I just drag this down, I'll be able to see my take profit. So there's my take profit line. It would be nice to see a winning trade. So let's just go through why it got me in. I'm above, well, it got, whether this trend line is correct or not, the trading assistant is working on that trend line. So it's above the green trend line. It's also, by coincidence, above the red trend line, but it's thinking buys because it's above the green trend line. It's thinking we've just had a recent wave change from red down to green up. And then it's thinking there's been a recent MA crossover. That's why it got me in. And it's just got me out. I don't know why. Global protection. So presumably I've reached my that's absolutely crazy. Minus 51%. I think we need to get Oliver to look at this. It's got me in and got me out without even getting into the take profit, and then it's showing me a minus 51%. I think that's something for Oliver to look at.
You know the news, if you change it to moderate, I think it comes on. But I've got my settings just set to high news, but I don't have the red line, and then I've put my news to moderate, and I've got the orange line. So difference in the feed.
That on FTMA, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, because none of even my radar wasn't showing any news, and it took a trade.
But the feed for the news doesn't come from FTMO, Helen. It comes from
No, sorry, I was
NPR5.
checking we were on the same account.
Yeah.
So my radar wasn't showing news either, and it took a trade 2 minutes after 1:30. So maybe it was only seeing. Well, mind you, if it's moderate news, it should include high, shouldn't it?
I would imagine so. Have you got the yellow? Have you got the line on your chart then, Helen?
No, that's what I was going to say to you. Actually, I hadn't noticed until we were talking about it earlier, but I've got no news line on my radar, and it's always showing the news.
Yeah, so if you change yours to moderate, I bet you get an orange line where that news was now.
But we've always had it on high, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, but it's like when we used to look at Forex Factory and my FX book, and they used to vary. This is the same thing. So it's what MetaTrader decides is moderate and high.
Yeah, but that's only showing the okay, fair enough. Yep.
Which is annoying, but
yep.
Yeah, so lots of losses there. I don't understand that number of minus 51.24%, because I'm not 51% down.
Yeah, I think that's just on today's.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm probably 2% down.
Right.
My daily loss target is it's all gone skew 82. Yeah, those numbers are completely out of sync. Okay, so let me just see if I can usefully continue, because that's just blown me out of the water basically. I'll take that off. I'm not really interested in that. I'm not really interested in that. Right, now I've put moderate news on, and it's appeared. It's too late. I've actually got it on low. I'm gonna try go back to high and see if that. Give it a minute. No. Right, I'm just going to go back through the 4 pairs, see if I can see anything that's worth discussing, and then I'll call it a day, because it's just gone haywire. Right, so looking at Euro US, that's telling me to come back tomorrow. I'm just looking to see if it's worth reloading the assistant on that one. Move that out of the way. Well, it's going haywire because this is not working properly. Hang on a sec. I'll just try and.
Yeah, just if you all would like to know, my wave got me a nice win on USD JPY, 2 wins on USD JPY during all that crazy news. So on the wave, I've had a good day. On Channel Radar, I've had a horrible day.
Yeah.
Was your wave all automatic, Paul?
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at it, Helen, to be honest, because some of it was just left over from last week, but I've been messing around with it, so I thought, oh, I'll leave that. And I wanted to reset Channel Radar today. I've been meaning to try and really, like, I spent a whole week just looking at the wave, and I did 15% that week after a rough, good start, really rough middle, and then I've worked out not to trade USD JPY overnight. And I wanted to do the same with Channel Radar, but I just haven't had time. But so I got it reset today finally, and it's just been a bloodbath.
Is your wave working better on particular pairs? Have you noticed?
I have it on Euro USD, USD JPY, and Euro JPY. That's all, I think. So look.
Thank you.
I've got it on GBP USD, but it doesn't ever seem to take a trade on USD. Sorry, GBP USD never seems to take a trade for some reason. So I don't know about that. But yeah, Euro USD, USD JPY, but don't run it overnight. And Euro JPY. I need to analyze the data. But yeah, you can get some good moves on USD JPY when it goes in your favor.
Right, I think I'm going to call it a day. Well, partly because of the issues that I'm having, but also because if you look at the Wada Atta, that's definitely telling me to keep out. The volume is way below the dead zone, so there's nothing happening there. You might be able to see the blue line. It was a white line, but it's the Wada Atta is telling me to keep out. It's simply not enough volume. The same here. The volume's dipping out of the market, and there it's completely gone. So there's nothing going to happen in the near future. I need to. What I'm going to do when I end this session is just take everything off and try loading everything back up again. And I'll read this message from Oliver.
He says nothing's changed.
Did you say you were going to mention to Oliver about the news thing as well?
Yeah, I've mentioned the news to him already, and
Right.
I've mentioned about the trend lines as well, and he says nothing's changed on them, so he's not sure. It's late for him now, so I don't know if he'll get that looked at today, but it's
Okay.
weird because he says nothing's changed, and he says it must just be like current candle formations, but he'll have a look. But it just seemed like it was all working, and then everything's gone to crap.
Yeah, well, it was
Um,
working well Monday, Tuesday, just Wednesday it
Yeah,
started.
exactly.
building.
Do you think some screenshots would help him, Paul?
I would
It's
send
not
him the
really-
screenshots and then maybe point out where they should be. Maybe jump on a Zoom with him if you can, Richard, and but yeah, take some screen grabs of the crappy ones now.
I'll
Okay.
do that and save them. If you want them, then let me know and I'll send them over.
The trend line is this in there on all of them, or is it just Euro USD?
No, my Euro USD is fine. All my other ones are wrong though. So GCAD, the trend line starts at 1:15. It doesn't go. Sorry, at 1 o'clock. It doesn't go backwards prior. GCAD, GBP USD. Same. Oops, just got into something.
I'm
Same
in
thing.
USD JPY for a buy on Channel Radar.
And mine's in Euro USD for a sell.
Yes, I am, and me.
Yeah.
I just won a USD JPY on a buy.
Right. Sorry, go on, Paul.
No, I just won a USD JPY and it got me in again. Straight after. Good. 2 minutes job.
All right, I'm going to call it a day. I'll be back on Tuesday. If anybody's got any questions and you want to send them in advance, that'd be appreciated. And we'll just try and sort this issue out. So I'll see you next Tuesday.
Cheers, Oliver.
Thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
Richard.
Cheers.
Cheers,
now.
Cheers, Richard.
Oliver, Richard. See you, Richard.
Yeah,
I shouldn't drink this early.
We call